Hi guys, I'm Ulf at HoboRec, but today I'm not at home. I'm outside of Basingstoke, which is kind of south of London, and I'm here with Harry from
Hi.
Audient.
Nice to see you. Nice to welcome you to our secret lair.
The secret lab of
Yep.
Audient, yeah.
Yeah, so we've actually been based around here since we were founded in 1997. We had another office down the road and then moved over here. But yeah, we were founded in 1997 by David Dearden and Gareth Davies. And David Dearden was like the engineering mind behind this. Previously, they actually both founded DDA consoles. And yeah, before that even, David came up through working at Advision Studios as an engineer. He actually ended up as like the live-in engineer for John Lennon, and sort of helped build some of the personal consoles of the Beatles and stuff.
Custom consoles before.
Yeah, exactly. So back in the days when, audio companies like us didn't really exist. It was like
no brands.
I'd like some channels, please, to record stuff. It's like, cool, let me build you something. So that's cool. So we've got like a nice heritage of David's designs coming through through there. So yeah, we actually started the first product. Like we have tons of products now. We actually started with the 8024 console. This is the sort of newer version.
Yeah.
But yeah, we started with the 8024 console in 1997, 1998.
Yeah. You launched it in 98.
I think it was launched in 98.
Yeah.
Yeah, and basically it's a inline modular console, which has been, we've been selling all this time. We gave it a revamp in, I think it was 2016, to the Heritage Edition. And then over the years, we've, added more products. Like we've got the 4816, which has just recently again been relaunched as the Heritage Edition. We moved into preamps, monitor controllers, and more recently audio interfaces as well.
So what is the basic difference between the different models?
Yeah, so the basic difference,
channel counts.
Yeah, it's I mean, to be honest, they're pretty much, it is basically about the channel count in a sense. Like we have the 8024 is a modular console, so the ones that we've got here are actually all just channel and master sections, but we've also got other modules you can put in, like a dual layer control module, which is like analog automation and door control. You've got like a blank panel, so if you want to like...
Yeah, so you do have door control.
Yes, yeah, door control. It's like an 8-channel fader sort of thing. But yeah, the actual channel strips, the master section, are actually all the same between the consoles. So it's more about like, you can build this from a 24 all the way up to, I think the biggest was a 72 channel desk with a bunch of extras. So it took up, almost this entire room. Whereas this is the 4816 is like a set, sort of small size, with everything crammed in to, like a 1 meter footprint.
So maybe just a little side note of that. You said you had the door controller, and that's like a separate thing in the console then?
Yeah,
so all the channels are still like fully analog.
Yeah, so to I guess go back, like these are both like fully analog consoles, no digital at all. However, yeah, there's a module that goes in, which is the size of these, which has analog VCA automation, but also 8 flying faders, so you can link it up with your door through HUI, and get some door control as well, which is nice, like a nice hybrid workflow. Or alternatively, you've got the blanking panels as well, so it's just like empty buckets. People will put things like Avid S3s on them, and other monitor controllers as well. So like there's scope to create like a hybrid, a nice hybrid workflow for people.
After doing all those consoles, as far as I understand, it took a while before you started doing the alternative products. Yeah.
So I think there were quite a few products which are, been and gone a long time ago that, happened in the 10, 15 years after that. I think the original 4816 came out originally in 2012. And I think soon after that, we have mic preamps, which are all based on the mic preamp design that David designed. And then obviously moving forward into interfaces. So we have like, I've got like a ID14 interface. This is like the Mark II iteration of the interfaces. I think we started with ID22, and the ethos behind these was literally just to get the console sound into these, because we started making consoles, like that was the thing that we did. So it's like, let's get the preamps from the consoles into this, and that's
for home recordists and stuff.
Exactly. That's what we're known for, and that's these are nice solid pieces of kit which should hopefully people can see that they have some resemblance in a sense to the consoles. And then obviously we more recently we branched out and created like a kind of a sub brand called Evo, which is like
which is really interesting stuff.
Yeah, so this one, this is the first one where we deviated away from using the console preamps. So up until this point, they were all proper Class A preamps.
Yeah.
And these ones, we decided to effectively redesign it from the ground up. Like Audient's known for transparency, like that was the whole idea behind like all of these consoles, behind the preamps, like where you've got a lot of other people, some of especially the more classic companies where it's all about adding the character. And David's design was very much like in this sort of world of starting digital consoles and all these other manufacturers. It was like, let's just make it as clean as possible. So that's what the Audient preamp is supposed to do. With the Evo preamp, we redesigned it so that we could add in all these like smart features, but while still trying to keep it nice and clean. So these are like super transparent preamps, but they've got cool little features like being able to access them from the computer. You've got our little smart gain feature, which lets you like automatically set the levels for you just by like pressing it. So Evo is almost like our way of being able to really push the boundaries and just experiment and make some really cool products. Whereas Audient is, we're just making real solid pieces of kit for studio and home use as well.
But the price points on those are really, really impressive.
Yeah. Yes.
How did you manage to do that?
Well, I think the main thing was, I think we've just got a great team where we've been able to go from building these they're expensive consoles, but cheap in the grand scheme of consoles.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're very well priced, and then it's a learning experience for going into making interfaces and mass producing these. Like we build these consoles to order. Like we have tens or hundreds go out sort of a year or over a period, rather than making thousands of interfaces to go in homes all around the world. So it's definitely something that over time, through the original interfaces, we've honed our skills down to the point where our expertise in actually creating decent sounding audio can now be shoved into this little box, and we know how to get it all manufactured and get it down to a price point where these are super cheap, but they sound premium.
I hope I'm not pushing into a corner here, but what would you say the quality difference between the Evos and the ID interfaces?
In terms of sound?
Yeah, or why would you go with one or the other?
So I think in terms of the quality, you probably, when you do a proper test against them, someone might say that you get a slightly more rounded premium sound from the ID stuff. But to be honest, it's one of those things where they sound near enough the same. The ID44, which is our large audio interface, will sound better than the small version of this. It's got better converters and all that kind of stuff. The preamps are probably a little bit better, but to be honest, it's so close that it probably comes down to features.
Yeah.
So on our interfaces, like the ID44, the large one, it's got things like inserts for outboard gear,
which I think is brilliant.
Yeah,
it's
so useful.
Not many interfaces has that.
Yeah, whereas things like the Evo 8, this is more for it still could be used by a professional, but it's more aimed towards people who are maybe just starting out, getting into it. They don't necessarily have outboard gear, so there's other features on this which will make it like the smart gain, which they might buy it for. So whenever recommending between the different ID interfaces or even the Evo interfaces, I always say it comes down to what features do you want.
Yeah.
Because we have made them to be a certain standard. We made Evo to be cheaper and more accessible to people, but we still had it couldn't be worse than this. It had to be still decent quality.
That's also a thing. One thing I thought was pretty cool on your website, that you have this to help you
interface
with
finder.
Interface finder.
Yeah, that was a cool project that we're really proud of, where we're just trying to
just going back to what you said about different features and stuff.
Yeah.
So what you actually need is,
what do you need, and then it'll tell you what you need, because at the end of the day, like, you need the right tool for the job.
Yeah.
And you can look at specs and what's on paper and the sort of the quality all day, but at the end of the day, like, if it doesn't work for you and if the features aren't right, then it's not a good interface at that point. So, like, we've got a whole host of different options for people, which we're continuing to fill it out and continuing to release more and more and, like, push boundaries.
Talking about the Evo interfaces again, you launched it in 2020.
Yes.
So basically right when the pandemic hit.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a nice big launch at NAMM, and then everything shut down.
Yeah, I was at that NAMM.
That was really good. I think Evo is a really exciting thing to work on.
Yeah.
And I think no one really expected it from us, especially given the fact that we make these giant monsters of a product.
So you were kind of lucky in that tragic situation.
Yeah. No, I think
that you had a product coming out right then.
With everyone locked up, but people still wanted to make music, so that worked well, especially for people with maybe a bit more time on their hands as well, being able to go, you know what, I've always wanted to maybe try learning guitar or like to record a song. So I think a lot more people picked it up.
And now you don't even have to set the gain yourself. So.
Exactly. I think
super easy.
It's interesting, the different applications, especially for Evo, in terms of this is all very traditionally like music, or at least audio industry, whereas Evo, we were getting
broader.
Like a broader, like we've got content creators, we've got podcast people, like just people almost just have like a work from home desktop, and it's like, I just want nicer audio for my headphones, and it's cheap enough to be able to offer that to someone. Whereas some of the other products are also a bit scary, maybe.
Yeah, as I said, I was at NAMM there in 2020, right before the pandemic. It was weird, but I also went back to NAMM now, the first NAMM when it started again, and you actually got yourself a little prize there.
We did. Yes, that was really cool. So we won the tech award for the mic preamp category with ID4.
Yeah.
Which, to be honest, means that all of these won because it's the same preamp. But yeah, no, that was really great to get the recognition for our design and what we're working hard to do. I mean, I think especially with ID4, like these are big, relative, expensive in terms of the actual money you have to fork out compared to an interface, and we've managed to cram it all down into this little ID4 is smaller than this. It's it's a single channel interface and everything. But yeah, like being able to bring that technology into something that's so small and affordable is great. Oh yeah.
Can we show it?
Gimme. Oh,
show the gold.
This is our pride and joy. That was a great. It was a really good addition to being able to be back at NAMM again as well. Because
I wasn't there, but I heard you had a good party that night.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. We had a good time and paid for it the next day.
Yeah. So at NAMM you won the prize and you managed to launch a revamped version of this console, or?
Yes, yeah. So we had two new things at NAMM. We had the Evo 16 audio interface, which we can talk about maybe. But yeah, this was a revamped version of the 4816. So back in, I think it was 2016, we relaunched the 8024 Heritage Edition, and we decided we'd do the same. This actually is now two different consoles. So there's the Heritage Edition and the Standard Edition. But basically it's completely new look for the console. So we've decided, we had a look at what the old console did and decided to try and make it a bit clearer in terms of all like the labeling and the colors and everything. But we've also added, I think personally the coolest feature is the Heritage card, which is Transformers. So the ethos behind these boards is to just make things as clean as possible. Like it's just no noise, like minimal crosstalk, all this kind of stuff to just mean that it's transparent. And then it's like, you know what, actually let's just give the option. So we've now got a Heritage card, which will engage these Carnhill Transformers to just give a bit of grit, a bit of something, character.
If you want to. And those are British Transformers.
Yes, right? And they've got a nice bit of of weight to them, and then that's also combined with these low bump and high lift. So it's like a subtle EQ, just to craft your sound a bit.
Yeah.
We've also got a bus compressor with we've added a VU meter to it, so just add some easier viewing. Classic bus compressor design. We've added a bass expand option on here, which was quite a sought after feature for the Heritage Edition, the 8024 Heritage Edition.
Is that like
it's like a side chain
filter?
Yeah, so it keeps your nice
pretty
and tight.
Important on drum buses at least.
Yeah. But this console, I think we've been selling, this console since 2012 effectively, but I think it's a very efficient console in terms of the space and what you get, because it's inline. So you have your monitor and your record paths on the same channel strip.
Yeah.
So you don't need to have have them separate. It's all done in one thing. You've got splittable EQ, which is a really cool feature as well. So you can you've got shelving, but also parametric EQ, and you can split them between the short fader and the long fader.
All right.
So that's a nice way of being able to just add a bit of...
Yeah, so you get it on recording or on the monitor.
Yeah, exactly. So that's really nice. And it's got a nice solid cue section, talkback control, all that kind of stuff, everything you'd need to just be able to, record or mix. These are used all over the place, in terms of big studios, small studios. There's a Foley studio with one of these in, which is kind of cool.
I was going to ask earlier about what are the most famous users or famous studios where you have them?
So I think
some bragging.
the Pete Townsend from the Who, he was an avid user of the 8024, the original 8024, as well as the 4816. So he had them in his home studios. We send these all over the world, whether it's personal studios or they're quite popular in education as well. Yeah. Some other people, Graham Coxon from Blur, he has an 8024 Heritage Edition in his studio in England. We have Chenzo Townsend, who's a prolific mix engineer, especially in UK, sort of indie and pop scene. He's got a really cool studio down in, I think it's Essex or Suffolk, which has an 8024 as well. And that's, all sorts of people going there all the time. But yeah, they're a solid tracking or mixing console. Yeah, so this is our office, this is our workspace, as it were. This is where all the consoles are assembled. So all of the 8024s and the 4816s are basically just built here. We have a bunch of different things coming from all over the place to actually build them. We've obviously got the metal work, we've got all of the different parts, we've got all the components inside. The actual wooden trims, they're handmade by a master craftsman who just, walked down the road.
That's cool.
It's in just this little wooded glade, this little magical workshop, and he just brings them all by. So yeah, they parts come in from everywhere. They get assembled and tested here, put into a big crate, and then sent out the door. Yeah. But yeah, this is just our office. We've got all of everyone else works upstairs, marketing, R&D, the secret room, which no one's allowed in, with all the new exciting stuff.
Locked doors.
But it's always nice to come down here and see what people are working on, just because the consoles are modular. We'll sometimes get a message in being like, does anyone want to see the biggest console we've ever made? Or here's a crazy configuration where someone's done something a bit weird. So
what is the biggest console you made? How many channels? So
the biggest console was 72 channels, but there were also various extra modules on it as well. So I think they may have had, the DLC control module, as well as maybe blanking, patch bays, all that kind of stuff. So I think we ended up, the 8024s are built in frames. So we order a 3-bay or 4-bay or 5-bay frames. This needed 2 frames, 2 separate frames. I think it needed 2 power supplies. It was a crazy console. It was one of those ones where someone's like, can I do this? And we're like, I don't know. Let's just have a look. And it worked out in the end. And it was a crazy console. I'm sure we can overlay an image for you here. But yeah.
So this was really, really cool. Thanks for telling me about everything, and thanks for inviting me to.
No worries.
See your
it's great to have you here.
Cool place. Thank you so much.
No worries. Cheers.
See you soon.